You may be in a really crazy time in your life. And the first place I go is like little kids, or maybe a stressful job. Maybe you're dealing with health issues or relationship problems. All those things can make us really make bad decisions because we're emotional when we make those decisions. Marcellus wrote an amazing book. He wrote the book called How to Control Your Mind Like a Car Instead of a Roller Coaster. I know you're like, I'm going to turn this up. I got to hear this. Marcellus, welcome. We're glad that you're here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh my goodness, dude, this conversation could go hours. I have so many questions, but just hearing the general message, would you share with us about how to control our thoughts and why did you write the book?
Well, I wrote it because I was going through a little bit of a difficulty in my life. And as I started to get into some self help books and just try to, just think about how I could do, 'cause I hated it being out of control. The emotions turned on and I just couldn't seem to turn them off. And it's like, man, this is not me. It wasn't typical me. And so just through discovery, it just says, as I refer to my book, if things are going to change, you're going to have to change first. You got to
Wow.
change the way that you think. And so as I dove into that, I started doing that. I taught my daughter how to drive, and I was like, wow, okay, she got freedom by driving. Look how she controlled that car. Look how I might be able to do that with my mind. So that's kind
Wow.
of the whole thing, how things started, and it went from there.
That's incredible. Marcellus, I think about the poor decisions that I've made, and I think a lot of our viewers and listeners can say, yes, me too, out of emotion. We're
Oh, totally.
responding. We're not, we're reacting, I should say, not responding properly.
Right,
That's
right, exactly.
dangerous.
Yes, and we're so built up, and you had just hit the nail on the head. Our emotions dictate everything, and one of the things that I learned is you can control the way that you think. If you can control and do all these things you can with car, you can control your mind. And I know there's Christian viewers out there. God talks about us controlling the way that we think.
Yeah.
That it all starts from there. So that's how this all kind of came
So I can hear people going, "You don't have my boss. You don't know
about.
what my children are. They're making me crazy." What would you say to them? What's the first step?
Well, the first step is realizing you cannot control everybody else. You can't control people's thinking. They can't control their behaviors. You can't control your boss. You can't control the weather. But we learn to live and we learn to um, get by with it. So what we have to do is just learn to control our reactions, uh, not just react. We learn to respond to situations instead of just our automatic instinct to react. And that was a huge thing for me.
That's hard.
Yeah, it
Oh, that's hard.
is. Yeah, yeah,
So it sounds like the first step is a consciousness that
yeah.
uh, maybe a breath,
Yep,
maybe counting, um, maybe just saying, "I need a moment."
exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. And what this really is like, if I could just say, what happened is I was listening to this speaker called Earl Nightingale. He's way back in the day, and he wrote about this. He had this little thing called the strangest secret, and he talked about saying, if you were driving your car, this guy who was driving this big earthing moving machine. He said this little guy had so much power over this big machine, and he said our minds are that same way. We have so much power, but we take it for granted. We don't realize that we do. So if your car
Wow.
was headed right into a brick wall or to a crowd of people, what would you do? You'd get your hands on the steering wheel. You'd do whatever it took to control that
Absolutely.
thing,
You
right?
make those changes. Yeah.
Those changes, right? And so this is the same thing that I thought about. It's like, man, we have to do that same thing with our mind. We let it go just all over the place when we run into situations. We really don't take control of our behaviors or the way that we think a lot of times. And it's a hard thing to do, but it's something that we have to do. And that's why I wrote the book.
So it sounds like you're hitting on a word that I'm really bad at, and that word is discipline. How do you discipline to, like, my mind wants to do one thing, but then my mouth just does something else, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I addressed that in my book because I said when it came to getting discipline, if you were handing out discipline in school, I was one that just didn't get it because I was probably one of the most undisciplined people you ever met. But I thought about the results that I wanted in my life,
Oh, wow,
and I said,
yes.
this is worth it. And you're going to have to learn how your conscious mind and your subconscious mind work because
Mm,
your subconscious mind has you on autopilot. You think a certain way, you react a certain way. It's just the way that you do. And you have to just understand your conscious mind is going to be able to help you to change that. And it just takes some discipline, some repetitive steps. And again, I kind of go over some of those things in my book. But yeah, discipline is a huge one. And I don't like that
I
word.
don't like that word either, but you said something that kinda blew me away a few seconds ago. You said, "What matters," this is what I heard, "is that you can become more disciplined when you know that you're gonna get the outcome that you want."
Exactly, exactly. And
That's
and
a profound.
exactly. Well, you think about it. My teaching my daughter how to drive. Look at all the obstacles that it took. I mean, the heartaches, the frustrations. I can't do it. It's just not going to work. But the goal was she wanted the freedom. And once she learned to
Yeah,
drive, it's just going to open up her world. She's not going to be, mom and dad to take you here and there. You're going to be able to do so many different things. And
yeah,
as we all have gone through that, you've gone through the
yeah,
driving process. All of us have, and you remember those steps. You wanted that license, so you were willing to
yeah,
go through the heartaches, the failures, and all that kind of stuff. You kept with it, and
yeah.
that's what you have to do with learning to control the way that you respond instead of just react.
One of the things you talk about in your book, How to Control Your Mind Like a Car Instead of a Roller Coaster, is that we were designed for a purpose. How do you
Absolutely.
tie that in? What does that have to do with how we respond?
Well, I got to thinking about this book because there's so many people that will read this book, whether you're a Christian or people who don't believe or who you just have no faith whatsoever. And I really wanted people to be able to see is cars were designed with a purpose, and they have brought us so much great joy in our lives. Look at how it revolutionized
Yeah.
just the way that we do things, right? But it was designed with a specific purpose. And a lot of
Mhm.
times we forget that we are designed with a specific purpose that could do just millions of times or hands down more than a car could ever do.
Right.
And I really wanted to tie, since I was talking about
Wow.
cars and everything in there,
Yeah.
I really wanted to tie that in to say, man, you have so much more potential in you. You have purpose. You have greatness within you. Like Les Brown used to always say, this guy who has, but yeah, it really made me think about that. It's like the purpose that you have, and you can find the disciplines inside of you. So you can find what you are put here on this earth for.
Hmm. Just tying it into the car thing, it made me think, if there wasn't a driver, I'm not talking about driverless cars, but if there wasn't
Yeah,
a driver in the old days, the car would crash. It was aimless. It was nothing without the person that was thinking and feeling and planning and having strategy. And really, like, I really see now that I'm talking to you, we really do have control over, and we can waste it, we can squander it, or we can take control of it and make we're gonna move to the next minute of our life. What is that gonna look like? We have that choice.
exactly. Yeah. Every
Wow,
day
I got
you every
goosebumps. I mean, that's
yeah.
amazing. So
Yeah.
simple, but so profound.
It is. It's so simple. It's like the very simplest things when you really break them down and you just really, it's like, wow, this is something you've been doing forever, but it's like that aha moment. If you
Yeah,
look at my book where it says that aha moment that you
yeah,
get,
yeah,
that's what this is right here. Like you're getting that. You know, there's an aha moment
absolutely.
that makes life like this makes sense now. Why am I doing this? And yeah, so
I was just gonna ask you because I don't want this interview to wrap up before I have a chance to say, look, walk us through a scenario. What would Marcellus's mind say if you're at a store and
mhm.
you're getting bad service and you're frustrated? What would old Marcellus do, and what would the new, improved, disciplined aware Marcellus do?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to say I still have a lot of
Right.
a lot
Okay.
of baggage. I have a lot. I write this book and I have to read it. And I say I have to remember I have to do these things. So I have a lot. So I'm not some perfect
Sure.
person that's got it all together. I want to make sure that. But it always tells me each day I get up, I got room to grow each day.
Yeah.
So the old Marcellus in a situation like that would be, first of all, it would be all about me. It's about me. What do I need? What are my wants? What am I going to get out of this situation? And when I sit back and I take a step back and say, how do I want to feel? Let's say it's an encounter with that person. How can I think about this in the end? What is the reward of maybe making that person feel a little bit better, or just shutting my mouth
Right.
and moving on and just saying, because I always feel better if I don't have that situation. But what is the end result that I want from the situation? I think about that in my relationships. I have people that I butt heads with,
Right.
and sometimes I have to say, you know what do I want out of this? Am I going to feel better? Do I have to be right? I'd
Yeah.
rather be happy than right all the time. Ego is always, it's the battle there. So, and
You
that's
are a wise, wise man. Wow.
well, and here's where I will get on there. And I've done this since I've written this book many times. I'll say I'm putting my hands in the steering wheel of thought, because if I could put my hands on it and not let myself crash into this wall, or crash into a fight, or crash into an altercation, you know what I mean? I know I'll be better. It's my ego is going to have to take a little back seat, but I got to get my hands on the steering wheel of thought.
Marcellus, I hate the fact that we have to wrap up already, but I am so overwhelmed with the clear discipline, character, and empathy and kindness that you have for people. That if that's what I can grow into, I'm all about this. I mean, thank you. You reflect, you're living out what you've written. You didn't,
Well,
this isn't a how to, I don't do it. Like you can hear your spirit of kindness come through.
oh, thank you, and again, I appreciate you saying that. And but the same thing as I always know, every day I got a lot of work to do, and those emotions get the best
God
of
be
me. So
patient with us, right?
yeah,
Just be
exactly.
patient.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Well, Marcellus, you are represented by EC Publishing. We thank them so much for making this happen. Your book, How to Control Your Mind Like a Car Instead of a Roller Coaster. And quickly tell us, where's your book available?
Well, it is actually available. You can get it on Amazon. That's where most people get it from. I have a link there that shows it's Google Play. You can. That's primarily most people have been ordering it right off of
Okay.
Amazon. So there's a link there that has the different places, but Amazon is where most people go.
Sounds good. And if you're watching the video, we've got it right on the screen. So,
Yes.
Marcellus, thank you so much. What a joy to speak with you. Thanks for making the world a better place and have a great day.
Thank you. It's great talking with you. I appreciate it, Susan.